It's finally done. Now I'm gonna be rich.
She cried at his bedside for the cameras. She celebrated in the stairwell for her lover. Johnny heard it all, and he wasn't even sick. This is the story of the husband who faked death to catch the ultimate betrayal, and the revenge that followed will leave your jaw on the floor. Hit play. You owe yourself this ending. Johnny Carter had built everything from nothing. At 45, he owned 3 car dealerships across Atlanta, a 5-bedroom home in Buckhead, and enough investments to retire twice over. 5 years ago, he'd married Jennifer, a woman 17 years his junior, radiant and ambitious, who told him on their wedding night that she'd never met a man who made her feel so safe. Lately, though, Johnny felt something had shifted. Jennifer was distant. She spent more evenings at the gym than at home, always mentioning her personal trainer, Reagan, with a little too much enthusiasm. "He's just really good at what he does," she'd say, avoiding Johnny's eyes. Johnny wasn't a paranoid man, but something in his gut kept whispering that the woman he loved was slipping away, and he needed to know the truth before he signed away half his empire in a marriage he could no longer trust. So he devised a plan. A drastic, almost reckless one. He would fake a car accident, spend a few days unconscious in a private hospital room with the help of his old friend Dr. Marcus Bell, who owed him a favor, and watch. Watch how Jennifer behaved when she believed her husband's life and his fortune hung in the balance. "You sure about this?" Marcus asked the night before, adjusting the fake monitors in the private wing of his clinic. "I need to know, Marcus," Johnny said, staring at the hospital gown laid across the bed. "If she really loves me, this will prove it. If she doesn't, I need to know that too." The next morning, the story went out. Johnny Carter had been in a serious car accident on I-285. Critical condition, non-responsive. Jennifer received the call at 9:14 a.m., and, according to the nurses paid to keep watch, she broke down sobbing in the hospital parking lot before she even reached the front desk. For the first 2 days, Jennifer barely left his bedside. She held his hand, whispered apologies for the arguments they'd had, promised she'd change, that she loved him more than anything. Johnny, lying still with his eyes closed, felt his chest tighten with guilt. Maybe he'd been wrong. Maybe this whole elaborate scheme was an insult to a woman who truly loved him. Then, on the 3rd day, everything changed. Jennifer stepped out to get coffee. Johnny heard her heels click against the tile, the door swinging shut behind her. 15 minutes passed, then 30. Through the crack in the door, Marcus's nurse, in on the plan, reported that Jennifer was in the stairwell, on the phone, crying. But not from grief. "Reagan, I can't do this," she whispered, pacing. "If he dies, the house, the dealerships, the accounts, everything comes to me. We could finally be together. No more hiding, no more sneaking around at the gym." Reagan's voice came through the speaker, low and controlled. "Just hold on a little longer, baby. The doctor said if his condition doesn't improve in 72 hours, the family gets to decide about extending care. That's when we make our move. Just make sure his lawyer doesn't come near this hospital before then." Johnny, listening through the hidden microphone Marcus had planted near the vent, felt his whole body go cold. Every fear he'd buried, every suspicion he'd dismissed as jealousy, was true. Worse than true. Jennifer wasn't just cheating, she was waiting for him to die. The next 2 days were the hardest of Johnny's life. He had to lie there, motionless, listening to Jennifer perform grief for the nurses and hospital staff, while she secretly counted down the hours until she could make decisions about extending care, decisions that, if he really had been in a coma, could have ended his life for a fortune she didn't earn. Reagan visited once, disguised as a family friend, and Johnny listened as the man stood over his hospital bed and murmured, low enough that only the microphone caught it. "Won't be much longer now, old man. She's mine already. Your money's just a bonus." Johnny had heard enough. On the 5th day, when Jennifer arrived for her morning visit, makeup done, coffee in hand, ready to play the devoted wife for the cameras Reagan didn't know about, Johnny opened his eyes. "Johnny?" Jennifer gasped, nearly dropping her cup. "Oh my God, baby! You're awake! The doctor said—" "Save it, Jennifer." Johnny's voice was flat, tired, but steady. He sat up slowly, pulling the oxygen mask away from his face. "I heard everything. The stairwell, the phone calls, Reagan's little visit." The color drained from Jennifer's face. "Johnny, it's not what you think. It's exactly what I think." He reached into the drawer of the hospital nightstand and pulled out his phone, playing back the recording Marcus had saved. Jennifer's voice, clear as day. "If he dies, the house, the dealerships, the accounts, everything comes to me." Jennifer's knees buckled. She sank into the chair beside the bed, sobbing. Real tears this time, tears of panic, not grief. "Johnny, please, I made a mistake. Reagan, he made me believe you didn't love me anymore, that you were just using me." "Don't," Johnny said, cutting her off. "Don't put this on me. I gave you everything. A home, security, a life most women only dream of, and you were counting down the hours until a machine decided whether I lived or died, so you could run off with your gym coach and my money." Marcus stepped into the room then, along with a lawyer Johnny had quietly retained weeks earlier when his suspicions first started. "Mrs. Carter," the lawyer said calmly, sliding a folder across the tray table. "Given the recorded conversations regarding conspiracy to withhold medical intervention for financial gain, Mr. Carter will be filing for immediate divorce, citing fraud, and moving to void the prenuptial agreement's standard provisions in his favor." "Prenup?" Jennifer whispered, stunned. "There's no clause for—" "There is now," Johnny said quietly. "I updated it 3 months ago, the day I started suspecting something was wrong. You never read the amendment because you never expected to need it. Word got out fast in their social circle. Within a week, the story of the dealership mogul who faked a coma to expose his cheating wife spread through Atlanta's elite. Reagan lost his job at the upscale gym after the owner, a longtime friend of Johnny's, learned about the affair with a client's wife. Jennifer, expecting to inherit millions, walked away with nothing but a modest settlement and a shattered reputation. Johnny, meanwhile, sold the Buckhead house within the month. He said the walls held too many lies. He moved into a smaller place near his flagship dealership, poured himself into his business, and for the first time in years, felt like the ground beneath him was solid again. Months later, at a charity gala for a children's hospital, Johnny met a woman named Alicia, a pediatric nurse who had no idea who he was, no interest in his dealerships, and who laughed at his jokes because they were actually funny, not because his wallet was in the room. "You seem like someone who's been through something," Alicia said, handing him a glass of champagne. Johnny smiled, thinking of the hospital bed, the recording, the moment his whole world cracked open. "You have no idea," he said, "but I'm better for it." As for Jennifer, the last anyone heard, she was working retail in Marietta, her engagement to Reagan long called off after he was caught doing the same thing to another client's wife. Karma, it seemed, had a longer memory than either of them expected. Johnny never regretted the test. It cost him a marriage he thought was real, but it saved him from a life built on a lie, and taught him that sometimes the only way to see the truth is to become invisible enough for people to stop performing for you. John Carter.